It is going to be a beautiful day. We're starting out still with a lot of cloud coverage for some places, but the sunshine is starting to break through the clouds. We even had a little bit of fog this morning. This is a good camera. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway right there. And off to the distance, this is one of the cameras that I was looking at earlier, Highway 29, that a lot of people were taking instead of I-85. And at this point, it seems like it's actually flowing pretty nice. In this background, this is going to be downtown Monroe. Still a little bit of low-lying clouds. Otherwise, everything will push out, and we're looking at sunny conditions this afternoon. Record high temperatures, though. That's a big weather story. If you liked the warmth yesterday, you're going to love today's. This upcoming weekend, we're talking warm weather. It'll actually feel a little bit humid at times. I felt that coming into work today. I mean, it's not summertime humidity where it like smacks you in the face when you step outside, but still noticeable if you're paying attention. Isolated thunderstorms will be possible, especially Saturday night and into Sunday. And then next week, more record highs are possible. Here's our satellite and radar. So for the most part, things are looking just fine. I do want to zoom in just a little bit off to the west. You can see a couple of those little cells starting to pop up there. This is outside of our viewing area, but this is kind of what we're expecting as we're heading toward this upcoming weekend. You see how isolated it is? That's the setup for us. Those isolated storms, they can form. And what do storms love? They love warmth. They love humidity, and then they have the ability to form. So now that we're talking about severe weather season, if those storms form this weekend, especially on Saturday, they may have the ability to quickly turn strong. We'll talk more about that, but let's stick with some really good conditions outside. Beautiful sunny sky, 67 degrees right now here in Charlotte, 55 in Boone, and it's still early. It's just after 9 o'clock this morning, and we're already nearing 70 degrees. So if you want to get outside today, it's going to be a great overall day. That fog that I mentioned, it's tricky. This is going to be south of Uptown where we see those colors, the reds, the oranges. That's where you're really socked in with dense fog. That's from Lancaster over towards Chester, even Monroe. Visibility less than a mile at times. So while you're traveling, all of a sudden, you may encounter such dense fog where it makes it very, very hard to see. And then you just travel a little further, and then all of a sudden, clear sunny skies come out of nowhere. That's the trend this morning. That fog will really start to mix off. I would say within the next hour, we shouldn't have much more fog to deal with. And then the rest of the day today, partly sunny skies, high temperatures should be around 82 degrees. That's going to be a high record. Our current daily high record for today, it's 80 degrees, set back in 2022. So we should shatter that, not having an issue there. Over the next 10 days, so going from 82 degrees today, back into the upper 70s tomorrow. So a little drop in temperatures, but really we should be at 61 degrees this time of the year. That's the norm. So while it is going to be a little cooler, you could say, it's still going to be very, very warm. A reason why temperatures on Sunday will drop down into the mid 70s will be because of cloud coverage. So there will be quite a bit of cloud coverage that we'll be dealing with between Saturday, but especially on Sunday. Temperatures climb back up. Look at this. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 days in a row, and early next week was still very warm temperatures, almost 90 degrees on Wednesday. Then after that, we have a strong cold front pushing through. That's going to pull in cooler air, still above our average when we're looking at those highs. But then eventually, next week is giving us some indication. Typically when you have two different air masses, one that's really warm, one that's cooler, once they clash, we're talking about storms. That's how storms oftentimes form this time of the year. So while we do have a small risk this weekend, they would be very isolated. It seems like next week we may have more of a widespread impact. 10-day forecast as far as the rain goes, no rain today, small chances tomorrow, and then Sunday. If you have outdoor plans on Sunday, keep your eye on the sky. That's going to be the day where we will have much more cloud coverage and the possibility of seeing some storms. This is kind of our big picture perspective or futurecast. So here's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Do you see that line of, really that's thunderstorms? It's extending from Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, through the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. That's going to be pushing towards us. Now, once it hits our mountains, a lot of it is going to break apart. But could a couple of those isolated storms still fire up and develop? I think it could be possible. The National Weather Service also indicating that If they do on Saturday, we need to be ready for the possibility of a couple of them turning stronger. So let's slow this down a little bit more. As we're heading into the afternoon, I think it's going to be a really nice day. Up in the mountains, could you have a couple of random sprinkles late in the day? Sure, but honestly, it's such a small amount that I'm not really concerned about it at all. Overnight tonight and into Saturday, this is important. Tomorrow morning, when you're waking up on your Saturday, I like to wake up, drink my coffee, open up my curtains, and always look to see what the weather's like. And it's going to be cloudy when we start our day tomorrow. But those clouds, they're not going to stick around all throughout the day. Saturday afternoon, we'll start to see those clouds start to taper off, and then we should be good to go. This is what I'm talking about. This is late Saturday and into Sunday with those storms that could form. They're very isolated, but could they bring brief heavy downpours? Yes. Could they bring some lightning strikes? Yes, and gusty winds as well. And because we're in severe weather season, I do want to hit on this part. This is a big part of the weather forecast across the nation today. The Storm Prediction Center is highlighting so many states for the threat of strong to severe storms, especially that area shaded in red. That's concerning. That includes Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, just to the north of that. That's where thunderstorms will have the ability to actually produce tornadoes. And then tomorrow, that threat, it shifts to the eastern half of the United States. So while we just have a little small chance of severe weather, a low-end risk, it's not zero. So I always like to point that out. It's important to know if you're going to be out and about to just be mindful that storms, if you see clouds start to roll through, it's always a good idea to even just pull out your phone. You can look at the WCNC app and you can look at our radar and you can see if any storms are within proximity, because if they are, the ingredients are in place for some of them to turn stronger. And then this weekend we are turning our clocks ahead, we're springing forward, and just to put things into perspective, so our sunset Saturday night will be at 6:25. Then our sunset on Sunday will be at 7. Sunset on Saturday will be at 6:25, and then as we're heading through Sunday, it's going to be at 7:26. So we're seeing a much bigger difference there. Those early bus stop forecasts, they're going to be a lot darker. So as those kids are waiting outside come Monday morning, the sunlight isn't going to be out quite yet. So also just keep that in mind. Here's a Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Lots of warm weather coming our way. Some rain and storm chances, and overall, I think really the big talker will be record warmth. It is going to be, I would say, hot by next week. Wow, Wednesday, 87 degrees.
That is crazy. So Sunday's not a washout, you say?
Yeah, definitely not a washout, but I think could we have some showers? Yes. Could we have some clouds? Yes. And then those storms we'll have to watch for too.
Okay.
Very isolated though. Isolated means like they'll pop up here randomly, then it'll pop up here randomly, you know, that type of thing.
No way to say if it's going to be foothills versus the city or out to the east. All right, well, that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be spring cleaning, and
yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to have a field, but I'm going to have the wine part.
You don't have rodeo.
I won't have the bunny.
Yeah.
I won't have the field. I'll have the wine.
You'll have maybe
outside.
a balcony.
A balcony
With a view,
yes.
perhaps?
Yes, this is what I will have.
That'd be nice. I went to a restaurant last night, like out on the lake, and it was so pretty. It was just beautiful, and the weather felt so nice. So it's like officially patio weather.
Yay.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what
Love
we're
it.
here for.
Love it.
All right, Majestic Storm, thank you very much for coming
course.
in. Love the good news for the weekend, right?